Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. I'm finally back and I've been working on this gigantic mansion. It's massive. So I'm really into modern mansions, especially round mansions, and whenever I'm looking on Pinterest for some inspiration, I always stumble upon this mansion, the Tony Stark mansion from Iron Man, and I've always stumbled upon this picture, screenshots from the movie, but I've never decided to really build it. I never really wanted to tackle it, but I thought, okay, I'm finally going to build it because this picture is always popping up in my feed. I'm going to do it finally. And even though I knew that it's a massive mansion, I've completely underestimated how big it really is and how tedious it will be to replicate it. And I really did my best here. I've only watched the first movie. I'm absolutely not the Marvel expert. I have no idea about the MCU, but I really wanted to replicate this mansion. It's not 100% true to the original. I'm not really that good at replicas. Also, at some point, I've noticed that a reference that I've been using was kind of different from the one in the movie, so it's a bit confusing. There are some different versions out there, different 3D renders and stuff, and at some point things got really confusing. The whole process was quite tedious. I've used lots of Spade Stony Goodness slabs, this little red rectangle that I've used right in the beginning when I placed the rock to have a guideline, and I've used lots of pristine pedestals from Get Famous. I really love to use these two objects for modern mansions, but here these objects were really necessary because I had to create so many round shapes, just so many round shapes. The build is quite abstract. It just has so many beautiful shapes. The roof is also it's completely crazy. I had to change it a couple of times because I was looking at the wrong reference and things got confusing, as I said. But I had so much time building this. I didn't include the complete process because sometimes I was just repeating stuff. I just placed so many of these small objects, so many hundreds or thousands, I have no idea, but I placed so many objects. Sometimes I could duplicate some objects or shapes using Tool, which was great, but it still took just so long. I built this in the Pinnacles in Del Sol Valley on the big 64 by 64 lot. This lot is just perfect because it's this huge lavish mansion which overlooks the city. It has some Hollywood vibes, so this world and this lot is just perfect for a Tony Stark mansion. I was looking at some screenshots and pictures. Also, Sadie sent me a tour, a GTA tour actually, from this house, so I could just see what's going on the inside. Not really good at replicas again, but I did my best. The inside is not true to the original. I built, as you will see, the lab, so it's it makes sense. It's really luxurious, but the floor plan in general, the whole shape was a bit different from the original, but I did my best. So even if you're not happy with this, at least maybe we could say it's inspired by the original, and it just took a long time. I just hope you like this. I hope you will enjoy this. I had so much fun building this, and because I was working on this for so long, I couldn't even build anything Halloween related yet because I put all the time I had whenever I could build into this mansion, such a massive project, but I still owe you a vampire castle that I have to build for Halloween. I'm really excited about that. So yeah, this doesn't really fit into spooky season, but here we are. This is a surprise Tony Stark mansion, I guess. So to anyone who's into Marvel, you might enjoy this, and anyone who's not into Marvel, I don't know, maybe you still like a good modern mansion because that's kind of what I really like to do. So let's talk about what I'm doing here. You can here see how I'm duplicating some windows because I had to create another round window facade. So I used the tool mod to rotate all these windows. As always, a disclaimer, you don't need the tool mod to download this build. You can just grab it from the gallery. You don't need the mod, and you can just place the build and everything will still be in place, including all these windows. And up here I wanted to create a round shape. At first I wanted the shape to be more or less perfectly circular, but then looking at the references I noticed that it's more of an oval shape, so I had to change this up. And then I started to work on the roof up there. You can see that I've used a combination of traditional roofs and the spotty stony goodness slab. So here, for example, I just placed a floor piece. I'm laying out the shape of the roof. And later on, I'm just going to delete all the excess floor tiles. You can see that the floor is sticking out in some areas. And this way I created my round shape, and then I just filled in the space in the center using more spider stony goodness slabs. I've used so many objects for this. Before I had finished the exterior, I had already reached over 1 million simoleons. So this is super expensive. I think even more expensive than the whole interior, because that's relatively cheap in comparison. I don't think that the interior added a lot to the price, to be honest. It's more about the exterior in this case. Here I'm building a couple of floor pieces, different levels, as you just saw, and this is not part of the build. I just did that so I was able to copy some windows, and then I could just move them over to the actual building. This is a trick Sadie showed me once, and this way I was just able to duplicate my windows, because you can see that the shape, the curve is identical. When you look at the levels below, there are all these windows, and I just rotated them using tool, and then I duplicated the window facade. So this was much quicker. This was already really tedious. I was really happy whenever I could just use tool to make my life easier. And then I placed more spider stony goodness slabs, as you can see, and then I had to do the same. As I've explained, I just added a floor piece. I used spider stony goodness slabs to lay out my roof shape, and I did the same as I did for the other roof. And this way I assembled the complete build and roof. And this is why it was super difficult to come up with a floor plan, or to just add a floor plan to this build in general, because these areas right now are on the outside. I don't think that rain is an issue here because of the ceiling, but it's like not a proper room, so to speak, not a fully closed proper room. This is just, it's just windows. So I really had to add just some rooms to this to make it work, as you will see. And up there, I decided to just turn this into an outdoor party area. I just wanted to add as many luxurious elements as possible, so we have like a really stylish mansion. You can really have some parties over here. This is a build which is perfect for families, but also for a bachelor sim, for someone who just wants to have parties. I had so much space up there that I decided to add just multiple bedrooms, no kids rooms, but just bedrooms. So I don't know, you could have like a really luxurious lifestyle with a bachelor sim, maybe some roomies. So this is like not the typical family mansion or something, but there are still enough bedrooms to totally turn this into a family mansion. You have enough space in this build. You could use it for all kinds of different storytelling purposes, or maybe you just don't want to use this build at all and it's just fun to see how it's built. But either way, if you want to, you could totally use this, and my gallery ID is KateEmerald. Here you can already see how the shape of the roof is coming along. I changed it up a bit later, and for these circular thingies at the top, I just used a fountain from the base game. You can see it here sized up. I'm going to remove this because I didn't like this at all, but it's a really nice object for some round shapes if you want to have fun with this. And then I decided that I would like to add a pool over there. When you look at the references, there's always a pool, and I mean, it makes sense. You don't build a luxurious mansion like this without a pool. And I looked at the references and tried to build a similar pool. For this, I also used the spotty stony goodness slab. I really like to use this object in general for my mansions, but here it totally makes sense because the build has this really modern minimalistic design. We have like all these really bold shapes and lines, and this object is just perfect. And I tried to replicate the shape of the pool roughly, so it has a really interesting shape. So here you can see how I'm working on the shape, and then I'm just going to remove the floor in the center so I can build a pool below, and that's it. In this way I create the illusion of a pool with this really funny shape, but I think it looks fun. To be honest, this build is so big, I was kind of running out of space, which is why some areas look a bit weird maybe. I think a much bigger lot, which is of course not available in The Sims 4, would be perfect for this. You can already see that like it's really... There's not a lot of space on the left side, right next to the pool, for example. I'm going to make it work and it looks beautiful and polished, but still I was running out of space. I'm going to say how it is. And also in the front where we have this really beautiful round shape in the center where we have the columns below that I created using the pristine pedestal, I lowered the ground a lot, so this area really stands out and you can see the columns. And the rocks I added are from, I think, Journey to Batu maybe. I wanted to have rocks in this color so it just looks like the original 8-bit, and I really like the contrast, so we have a nice contrast. The whole mansion itself doesn't have a lot of color. It's really simple, really just white, so I felt like any plants and these beautiful rocks would just add like a bit, just, I don't know, it's a bit lifeless otherwise. So I really think these decorative objects really do a lot for the build. And here you just saw how I kind of cheated. I used a debug column and I just created some type of wall using it, and this way I was hiding the terrain because, as I said, I was running out of space. It would have been so much more beautiful to just smooth out the terrain, to have a beautiful slope, but there wasn't any space, so that's how I did that. Here you can see how I'm creating these steps basically. You could use this method for all kinds of different things, but I just wanted to have this beautiful wall and I think it looks cute. And here I'm expanding the roof once again. And as I said earlier, I didn't even include the whole process of the pristine pedestal and window placing because it would be too much. It's quite repetitive, but I still wanted to capture how I built it, how I created all the shapes, but there was just so much going on while I was building this. I changed so many things. And then I was always staring at the reference and I was like, this is not looking like the original. And I was kind of freaking out because at some point I was in so deep because I had been building for days and days and days. And I thought, oh my gosh, is this even making any sense? So I'm still not sure, but I really like what it turned out to be. It's a beautiful, really over the top modern mansion. And you know that I love this. And also I have to tell you this, what happened to me again. So yesterday I went to my optometrist to get an eye test because I wanted to pick out some new glasses and my boyfriend also needed some new glasses. So we went there and I'm always a bit nervous. Like I really like picking out a new frame, getting new glasses, always fun. Finally, you can see very clear again, new frame, very fun. But I never like the eye tests. Like, for some reason, I'm really anxious when it comes to eyes. Like, in general, I don't like that. And whenever they do the eye test, I'm like, what if something is wrong? Maybe I won't be able to completely see, even though they, like, try all these things and they tell me that I have to go to the doctor because something is wrong. I don't know. I always overthink. I'm really good at that. But when it comes to eyes, I don't like the topic at all. So I'm a bit nervous and I don't know, weird day. I forgot to eat. I didn't drink lots of water that day and I was kind of not feeling myself in general. And then they tested my eyes. And then I thought there's this tiny line, like there were 3 different lines and the font got increasingly smaller, of course, and I couldn't see the one at the bottom. Like I couldn't see it at all. Even when they like tried different things and I was like, am I supposed to see this? Like, am I supposed to read this? Is something wrong? And then she was like, okay, please read these numbers for me. And there were like 5 numbers in a row and I was supposed to read them. And they also got increasingly smaller, so it gets harder. And I started to read them and I couldn't see the last one. Like, I couldn't. And I had to make something up. Like, I was just guessing. And I thought, I don't know. And I was like, 5, 8, 2, 1, D. And then I realized D is not a number. Why would I say that? And I was like, oh my God, so embarrassed, so weird. And really weird. And then I went out to pick out a frame, and I was standing in front of these shelves where they, like, these tiny shelves where they put like all these frames, these glasses on. And I was just walking through the store wanting to pick out a new frame. And then I want to grab some glasses, and the sleeve of my jacket gets caught in one of the shelves, and I rip out the whole shelf and the glasses are flying. And I was like, oh my God, no. I was so embarrassed. And I was like, I was just like, I'm so sorry, oh no. And I was picking up all these glasses, and someone was just rushing through me, helping me. They're like, no, it's fine, it's okay. And I was like, I'm so sorry, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. And then I put the glasses back and helped them. And she was like, someone is going to like screw it back into place. Like, I ripped out the whole screw. I don't know how I did that. It was just my jacket, the sleeve of my jacket. I have no idea what was going on. Like, the screw, the whole shelf, it just came flying. It was like one of those tiny plastic shelves. I don't even know if shelf is the correct word in this case, where they put like 4 frames on. And then I was just awkwardly standing there in another area looking for more frames, and the lady next to me was just screwing it back into place. It felt so awkward. She was like, oh, good, now it's back in place. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry again, thank you so much for fixing that. And she was like, yeah, no problem. So weird, I don't know. And I can't wait to show you my new glasses when they arrive. Like, in 14 days you can pick them up. Weird day yesterday, I don't know. And I'm traumatized. Like, whenever I'm going to pick up some new glasses, I'm going to pay attention to these shelves. I don't know. I'm just so glad that I didn't destroy anything. I was thinking right away, oh my God, it's good I have insurance for that. I was just so scared, but all was good. All good. And I can't wait to show you my new glasses. Like, I have a metal frame right now. I think I showed you back then when I got them. The problem is, I think there was some type of coating on the frame. It's like a silver golden, I don't even know what it is, metal frame, round. Like, I mean, you see these frames everywhere since 1 or 2 years. You know what I'm talking about? These round metal framed glasses. And I think there was some kind of coating on the frame itself, because on the inside there's like some color gone and it looks more silver-ish. And I'm severely allergic to nickel, and I started to get like some issues where the glasses are touching my face above my ears. And I was like telling her, I can't, like, I want some metal frames, but I'm just scared of having the same issue again. But luckily, I found a frame that has a bit of plastic at the temple, so the rest is like metal, more of like a rose gold color a bit. And I was really limited with what I could pick because of that. I also tried some plastic frames. I was really into plastic frames back then, like black and thick plastic frames, but I'm over that. So I definitely wanted some metal frame, silver or gold. Now it's rose gold. So I will see what it looks like when they arrive, and I will show you, and I'm really excited. But back to the build. Here I'm already furnishing. So this is the outdoor area. I mean, when you think of this mansion, like the real mansion, I mean, not real, but in the movie, you have this very prominent round area with the columns below that you also saw in this build. And I built like all these round windows around, and I had to fill the space. And as you can clearly see, it's an outdoor area, so I couldn't turn this into a proper living room. But I just turned this into some type of outdoor seating area. So it's like an outdoor living room, I guess. I built a bar, as you can see. This round bar is from Journey to Batu, and it's amazing. And I used this bar in multiple areas. There are lots of bars. It's all about partying, having a good time in this mansion. I really wanted to just have this vibe for this mansion. I added some vines. I think that these are from Eco Lifestyle, actually. It's very minimalistic. I only used white, gray, and black mostly, so it's not very colorful. Just for some art on the walls, I used a bit of color here and there, so there is a slight pop of color, but generally I really stayed within this color palette. You can also see the bar once again and then use some other counters. So for this build, I actually started out to work on the outer area first. I usually always start to furnish the kitchen, but I felt so inspired to furnish these beautiful outer areas that I just had to start there. I added a platform here just so I could add these lounge chairs just for sunbathing. I changed the floor a bit just to make it look a bit more interesting, because it's just a very fine line between modern and minimalistic and boring and empty. So I definitely wanted to add a couple of more things to make this a bit more interesting. I added a sectional sofa, a couple of floaties for the pool, an area just to sit and eat, maybe like an outdoor dining area and stuff. And it's just really modern. Also for the cars on the right side, I used debug. And in the movie, in the mansion, there's this beautiful garage, and I actually built a garage on 2 floors. So there's one at the bottom, which is like semi-realistic. Technically, the car could drive down the slope, technically. And then there's one like garage above, and the cars are just kind of there, sitting there for decorative purposes, or maybe it's like a hidden high-tech elevator for cars. I don't know. It looks fancy. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I thought it's okay because cars aren't functional in this game either way. It's just about making builds more realistic when you use a debug car in front of the house. But here in this case, it's a bit fancy and unrealistic, but I just wanted to place them. Maybe one day we will get some proper cars. I don't know. I still want them just to build some garages and to have a driveway, which is actually functional. I'm here for that. I'm ready for cars. Give me the car update. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm going to build lots of garages and driveways. I like that. So this is the kitchen, also very minimalistic when it comes to the color palette. Very simple, lots of white, gray, and black, and I just wanted to have this really clean vibe, this bachelor vibe, this, I don't know, just the movie's vibe. But as I said earlier, it's not true to the movie. There are a couple of bedrooms, I think 4 or something. I didn't record all bedrooms because the video is already so long and I just spent so much time adding all these items to the exterior. I just didn't want to bore you by adding lots of different bedrooms to this mansion, but it's fully furnished. Other bedrooms are there. You can grab this from the gallery. My ID is KateEmerald. This build is CC free and unmodded. You don't need the tool mod to grab this from the gallery. As I said, you can just download it. Your Sims can move in. I've used lots of objects. Just a disclaimer, so you might run into a couple of problems here. Every now and then I'm building a house which is not 100% functional in the sense of using lots of objects, and it might cause some issues for some people when they try to place this build. It's gigantic. It has so many objects that it might take a while to load and to place the lot. I'm just giving this disclaimer. It's functional in the sense of it works, everything is accessible, you can use this, but it's gigantic. Just a disclaimer, a warning. And if you can't use it, it still might be fun to just look at it. Maybe you've learned something, and the next build I'm sure will be maybe smaller or maybe not. I don't know how big or small the vampire castle will be. And yeah, this is it. Here you can see lots of screenshots. I hope you enjoyed this build. Oh, and here's the garage as well. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this build. I hope you are doing very well. I've missed you. I've missed talking to you, and I'm back, and I think the next project should be a little bit smaller so I can upload more often. This was just like gigantic and a lot of stuff was going on. But now I'm here, and yeah, I hope you're doing well. I've missed you. Thank you so much for watching. Now it's time to thank my wonderful Emerald Patreons. A big thank you to Asia, Dawn Bryce, Delilah Darkmoor, Jennifer Lewis, Kellen Rennie, Shannon McClam, Talena Lind, Tamika Mitchell, and Victoria Smithies. Thank you so much. I love all of you so much. A big thank you to all my other Patreons, and thank you to anyone who watches my videos and supports me. I equally appreciate you all. And also, I want to quickly mention in the video after this one, I'm going to announce the winner for my cottage living giveaway, because right now, while I'm recording this, the giveaway is still running for 30 or 40 hours. I'm not sure, so I can't announce a winner right now, because you can still enter, and check out the video before this one if you want to enter. And yeah, good luck to anyone who has entered, and yeah, thank you for watching. I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.